So, talking about the future of education, this is another thing me and my friends in education discuss. We talk about the future and where we see education going. And honestly, I see education becoming almost almost completely homebound. I see one of two uh, possibilities. The first possibility I see is I believe there will be a doctor, somebody with a doctorate on a remote camera, and that doctor is going to be teaching hundreds of kids all across the country. He's going to be teaching his lesson. And while he's teaching that, he is going to have probably TAs or somebody who's not paid at the level of a teacher working in each classroom, and they're going to act as facilitators in the classroom. And I see this as how the Department of Education and how the districts are going to figure out how to cut money, because they're really going to be paying one doctorate salary to cover multiple classrooms, and then they're going to pay TAs to act as facilitators throughout, which obviously our TAs work for $10 an hour or less, which is embarrassing. Another thing that I see as a possibility is just completely homebound, except for our kids who have severe special needs or require some sort of special service. You see more and more online education, these online classes. A lot of my friends are looked into this teaching English over the computer to families in China. And I think eventually the cost cutting measure is let's just give the parents the education online, maybe give them some tax credits and allow them to pass the tests, because right now we pretty much formulate success through the STAR test. Was it successful? Did they pass? And if they do, of course, there'll probably be an online version, or you will have to go to a testing center. But if they pass the STAR test, then basically they passed the grade. And so I see it being some sort of extension learning. Honestly, what we're doing right now here at the college level at West Texas A&M University, a lot of my high school kids, a lot of middle school kids, even some elementary kids are tech savvy enough that they can do a lot of the same things that we do with this online learning. I think the biggest innovation I have seen in my educational career when it comes to classroom is technology. Technology has impacted all levels of learning, whether it is regular classroom learning or whether it is intervention or rather it is enrichment. And it's that last point that I want to focus on is enrichment, since I was an enrichment teacher. When I was a kid, if you had a good teacher and you were a high level student and you got done early, you might be able to get an extra credit assignment, which is a big deal. I get extra credit. Or a teacher might have some task cards in the back of the room, and you can go through the task cards with one or two kids and work through these problems, which kept the kids engaged a little longer while the teacher finished up with the rest of the classroom. Technology has brought us so many different ways to change enrichment. Obviously, there are online programs where the kids can just log on and do their own enrichment. But I'm not really just talking about kids logging on and doing some sort of computer program. I taught a curriculum called Project Lead the Way, and it was all delivered online, but the kids got their hands dirty and they built things and they created things. And these projects that they would do, they would still tie into the TEKS, or they would teach them about questioning. It was really about teaching skills. Again, looking at technology, you can go onto Amazon and you can buy, there's just so many different types of kits that you can have delivered, and you can have the kids creating stuff. It's not about the kids playing on it on the keyboard. It's about technology bringing those items to your classroom. Another technology, teacher pay teacher, Pinterest. These are great places where enrichment ideas are shared. I think we are right now innovating in enrichment more than any other place, more than SPED, more than the regular classroom, because it's been so neglected for so long. Most teachers don't have time for it. So when you add in the technology piece, it's bringing it to the teachers. It's cutting out the work that we as teachers have to do when we develop our lessons. And I think it's a really valuable innovation that we're seeing, and I think we'll continue to see, because at the end of the day, we are trying to create students that can not only pass the tests, but they are competitive in a job market that is global. And I think enrichment and innovation are extremely important right now. It was really about teaching skills. Again, looking at technology, you can go onto Amazon and you can buy, there's just so many different types of kits that you can have delivered, and you can have the kids creating stuff. It's not about the kids playing on it on the keyboard. It's about technology bringing those items to your classroom. Another technology, teacher pay teacher, Pinterest. These are great places where enrichment ideas are shared. I think we are right now innovating in enrichment more than any other place, more than SPED, more than the regular classroom, because it's been so neglected for so long. Most teachers don't have time for it. So when you add in the technology piece, it's bringing it to the teachers. It's cutting out the work that we as teachers have to do when we develop our lessons. And I think it's a really valuable innovation that we're seeing, and I think we'll continue to see, because at the end of the day, we are trying to create students that can not only pass the tests, but they are competitive in a job market that is global. And I think enrichment and innovation are extremely important right now. I can turn to for help. And I think that goes hand in hand with my third point is I like to lead. I like to do things my way, and I'm not saying it's my way or the highway, but I like to show people that I am capable, that I am knowledgeable, and that if they trust me, then I can move us all forward. So I think in a way, all three of those are positive feedback, but it's positive feedback for being successful. It's positive feedback for being a leader. It's positive feedback for helping people in need and solving problems. I want to talk about two strengths and one weakness that I have as a teacher and as a leader. One of my biggest strengths has always been, no matter what job I've had, is I'm an excellent problem solver. You can bring almost any problem to my attention. And if it's fixable, I'll fix it. I know how to build a team to fix things. I know when to fix things on my own. I know how to get a group together and motivate them to get the job done. In my opinion, I'm an excellent problem solver. In addition, I am really good at building the climate and building consensus. I think if you have a program that needs to be sold to the mass, to the teachers, then I can help sell that to the teachers and explain to them why it's important and get them on board and get them excited about what we're doing. Cut out the negativity and just treat them like the people they are and not the pieces of the campus, but the human beings that they are. As far as my weakness, I am at times too candid. There is a funny meme that I've seen. A guy's in an interview and the person asking says, well, what is one of your biggest weaknesses? And the guy answers, I'm too truthful. And the guy doing the interview says, well, I don't think that's a weakness. And the prospective employee says, well, I didn't ask you what you think. And that sometimes that's me. I'm too candid. I'm too truthful. I have a tendency to sometimes step on toes when I don't mean to. I don't really take things personally, and sometimes I forget that other people take things personally. And it's something that I have continuously worked on all my life when building relationships. So the next question is, if you could change something in the office, what would it be? The question is a little vague, but I'm going to assume that has to do with policy. And I would say the biggest policy that I struggle with is parent accountability. Um, in my school, we have a lot of students who have 10, 20, 30 absences a year more, 20, 30 tardies more. A few years ago, we had the ability to call our LISD police, and they would go to the home and they would write the parent a ticket because their child wasn't arriving at school or they were not arriving on time. When I was a child, if you missed a certain amount of days, you didn't graduate. You would be held back. There is no longer on my campus, in my office, in my school, there is no longer any accountability for parents. Sometimes I feel like elementary to school, for those few, is more like a daycare or a babysitting service. They pick up their kids when they need. They drop off their kids when it's convenient. And obviously that's a direct impact on the students. The students, first off, the message is school must not be important because you can come and go as you please. And of course, secondly, they are missing important time out of the classroom when they should be learning. So I would say parent accountability is probably the biggest power that our office has lost, that I wish we had back. So why do I want to be a campus administrator? To be honest, I'm not sure that I do. I'm gonna be candid at this point because this is not for a real interview. This is for a college class. And when I look at what my administrator does, what my principal does, I don't want to do that. He spends most of his time with central office, jumping through hoops, gathering data. And if he's not in his office gathering data, he is working with the teachers, watching the teachers, making evaluations of the teachers, in the planning room, planning with the teachers. And his job affects the kids directly, but he doesn't get to spend time with the kids. And I don't see myself in a position where I don't get to enjoy seeing the kids win, spending time with the kids, actually affecting their future choices and their future behaviors directly. And I understand as an administrator, he has a huge impact indirectly. But that's not a position I think I would enjoy. I do see myself possibly being an assistant principal. And the reason why is because, as I mentioned before, I am a problem solver and I see a problem with education. And I think a lot of what I could solve is the behavior problems. I think a lot of our problems stem from the parents not being held accountable, the parents looking at the school as an enemy. And I think a lot of our problems come from climate and culture. There are so many of our teachers that are close to burnout. There are so many of our teachers, our veteran teachers, that know that they can get paid doing something else, or they can take early retirement. And if we could squeeze another 3-4 years out of a veteran teacher before they retire, I think that's a wise decision. And I think I could help bring the culture and climate to want for teachers to want to stay where they're at. I feel like the principal sometimes too often is the axe man. I feel like as the assistant principal, I would probably have a little bit more room to innovate programs that I see that could help the campus, and bring positivity to the students and bring positivity to the teachers. So I was sitting outside last night. The sun was going down. It was a beautiful dusk. It was beautiful as the sun set. And I sat there all night and looked at the stars, and I wondered to myself, where did the sun go? And I thought about it and I thought about it all night. And then the next morning, it dawned on me. There's your joke of the day.